This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, now in HTML5, let us understand forms topic. What is exactly the form? Form is a collection of form elements used to collect the data from user. In order to create the form tag is used. Form is a group of elements to collect the data from user. For example, I want to create the registration form, which includes name, email, phone number, so data, but some other details. So to collect the data from user, we have to use form. If we don't have a form, we cannot collect the data from user. So we cannot provide a user specific details. That's why form is very much required. Form is created by using form tag. And the form can be submitted to server. Means after entering the values, we can send the data to server. On the server side, we can receive and store the data into a database. For that, we can write some custom logic. Generally, the server-side programs are written by using either Java, Node.js, .NET, or PHP. But in these codes, we are not touching the server-side programming part. So you can use anything. I mean, if you know Java or .NET or PHP or Node.js, any of these, you can use that. So, but we are not going to touch about that. So our intention only how to create the form. After submitting how to store into database, we are not going to touch it. Okay. Next, inside the form, we have to create the form elements by using input tag. Input is one of the most important tags, which is frequently used to create the input elements, maybe text boxes, password text boxes, check boxes, ready button, drop down list. Many things can be created by using input tag. Notice the input tag is used to create the form elements like text boxes, check boxes, radio button, drop down list. Many things can be created by using what? Input tag only. Input is unpaired tag. That means no need of writing the closing tag for input. It is unpaired tag. And the input tag must be used only in the form tag. For example, input type equal text will create a text box. And we have several attributes of input tag. The first attribute is a type attribute. The type attribute specifies the type of the element that you want to create. Means whether you want a text box or password or checkbox, radio, or what type of element you want to create. There are so many options. Any of these options can be specified in the type. Name means name of the element that you want to submit to server. Value means the default value of the element. I will show all these things practically, then you can understand clearly. Just overview I'm explaining right now. Read only means the user cannot modify the value. Disabled means the element will be disabled. That means user cannot modify, cannot click it, cannot do anything with that element. Max length means maximum number of characters that you want to accept in the text box. Tab index is the tab sequence. For example, when you press the tab key, to which text box it has to go, we can define a sequence. ID means identification of the element using which you can access the element in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and in jQuery. Checked means by default the checkbox or ready button will be checked. SRC means the source path of the image in case of image submit buttons. Just I'm showing overview. Don't worry about all these things. I will show programs. Then you can understand. Width means the width of the image in case of input type equal to image. Height also in case of input type equal to image only it will be useful. And also continuation is placeholder is defined the watermark text. Autofocus means when you open the page the cursor is appear in the corresponding text box. Required means it's a mandatory field. Pattern means regular expression. Min means minimum value. Max means maximum value. Step means increment or decrement the value. Multiple means allow the user to select multiple items. Autocomplete means disable the text box history maintenance, means the whichever the values we have entered that will be stored in the browser memory, that will be disabled. So the values will not be stored in the browser memory and will not be displayed next time. So just overview we have given, examples will make you clear. Okay, don't worry. So let's go to some sample registration form I want to develop. Let's write a notice. First save this. I'm saving in C:HTML folder. File name form.html. First the basic syntax like HTML header body is same. Okay, now so inside the form what we have to do, we can place some elements. Only by placing form there is no meaningful output. Check it, there is nothing in the output because just only by placing form nothing happens. We have to place the text boxes, check boxes, various types of items inside this. How to place them? First input tag we have to use. In the input tag compulsory we have to provide one attribute called type attribute. Type equal to text means we are getting a text box. The type attribute specifies what type of element that you want to create. In this case type equal to text means we can see the text box. So we got a text box. Text box means user can type anything whatever he wish. Okay, any text can be entered. Next we can create any number of text boxes as per the requirement. See, we have created 3 text boxes. That means in any of these we are able to enter anything. Okay, but I want to accept the password. To accept the password we have to give type equal to password. But see the problem, all the text boxes appear side by side. Suppose if you maximize the browser, you can see all the text boxes side by side. In case if you want to particularly go to next line, we have to give BR tag. BR tag will make you go to next line. I mean to say after first text box, one line break. So it will come to next line. After that again. So like this we can every time give BR tag in order to go to next line. Now in the first text box we can see normal text. Second one is what? Password. So third one also normal text box. Okay, next I want to provide some description for the text box. I mean I want to provide what value to be entered. So here for the first text box I want to accept name. Second one password. Suppose third one confirm password. So input type equal to password. Now user can understand, okay, here name, here password, confirm password should be entered respectively. That's all. Next I want to accept if I want to accept yes or no type of option, we have to use input type equal to checkbox. In order to accept yes or no type of option, input type equal to checkbox is required. Yes or no type. For example, remember me, yes or no. Receive newsletters, yes or no. So like this, you want to get some updates from the, you want to provide an option to user and allow the user to select any one of them. No, you want to provide a yes or no type of option, then only checkbox is required. Do you want to ask a question to user and you want to allow the user to choose yes or no type of option, then only checkbox is suitable. So for example, I'm creating receive newsletters. So we are asking the user, do you want to receive newsletters? If he wants to receive, he will check the checkbox. Otherwise, he will uncheck the checkbox. That's all. Next, if he want a set of options and among few only one should be selected, means we have to go for radio button. Among few only one should be selected means radio button. Suppose we have created 3 radio buttons. Among 3 only one should be selected. But see the problem, all the 3 can be selected. The reason, all the 3 radio buttons are identified as independent items, no connection between them. In order to connect them together, we have to give a common name. Name means name of the element, but you can say what value, what name you want to submit, the name can be specified here. Whatever the name we have mentioned here, that name will be submitted to server. I mean, the server means a Java program or .NET program, whichever program is running on the server side. So the name can be really anything, but the name should be common for all these 3 radio buttons in order to group them. For example, name can be suppose ABC. The same name should be repeated for remaining radio buttons. Now these 3 radio buttons are inside a group. Now we can choose any one of them. Next, and also, for example, I want to place an option in meaningful option. Okay, suppose payment mode. Okay, debit card, credit card, net banking, wallet. So different options. So now name equal to, instead of ABC, I'm giving payment mode. Name doesn't accept the spaces, that's why I'm giving without spaces. Now we can see among these 3 options, these are 4 options. We can choose any single option, any one. Next, also, suppose I would like to say by default this checkbox should be checked. Of course, the user don't want it, he will uncheck it. Whenever you want to make the checkbox by default, we have to add a checked equal to checked. By adding an attribute called checked equal to checked, we can make the checkbox by default checked. See what happens at the time of opening the page itself, the checkbox is checked by default. Of course, if the user don't want it, he will uncheck the checkbox. Suppose you are the user and you don't want to receive the newsletters from the website, you can uncheck the checkbox. You can uncheck, but by default it is checked, right? That's what important. Next, payment mode: debit card, credit card, net banking, wallet. So 4 options are available. Suppose by default you want to enable wallet. So how do we make this as a default selection? For that also we can add checked equal to checked. The checked equal to checked is a common attribute for both checkbox and radio button. Now we can see wallet option by default selected. Of course, user can go for any other options, but default by launching the page itself, default option is wallet. Okay. What I'm going to say, checked equal to checked is optional. If you want to make a default selection, then only checked equal to checked is required, otherwise not required. Next, you want to offer some attachment, file attachment. You want to allow the user to choose a file. Then we have to provide input type equal to file. Now, file means a browse button with no file selected message will come, and if you click on browse button, you can choose any file of any type. For example, I'm selecting some image like this. So the image will be appear here like this. Okay. Next, and we can also write some Java program or .NET program in order to submit the data, in order to copy the file into the server. In real life applications, what's happening, suppose in Gmail or Facebook, when you select a file, the selected file will be uploaded into server. So what happens is, we will write some JavaScript code, Java code or .NET code on the server side to copy the file. Okay, that we are not going to see here because our course is UI. In the UI, we don't write a code for copying the data into server. In Java or .NET, PHP, etc. only we are able to learn that. So as per the UI perspective, just we have created a input type equal to file, that's enough. Next, you want to create a reset button. So input type equal to reset. The purpose of reset button is, observe carefully, I am entering some name, password, different other details. Different details I selected. Now the moment once we click on reset button, automatically what happens, all the things, everything gets clear. It will go to the original state. Everything whatever we have entered here or selected here, everything will be clear and it will go to the original default state. That is the purpose of reset. But notice that all the text boxes, check boxes, ready button, everything plus reset button, all these members should be inside a form only. Then only reset button can recognize them. If the reset button is present outside the form, it cannot be recognized. Okay, next. Mainly, you want to submit the data to server. For example, in Gmail, suppose I want to create a new Gmail account. See, after entering the first name, username, and all these things, we click on next button, right? Next button is nothing but submit button. For example, Facebook is there. After entering the username, email, password, we have to click on login button, right? Login button is nothing but submit button. We are entering first name, surname, mobile number, all these details, and click on sign up button. Sign up button also submit button. So submit button, by definition, a button is used to submit the data to server. So how to create a submit button here? We can create it by using input type equal to submit. Input type equal to submit. This will create a submit button. But see the problem, by default we are getting like submit query. Instead of submit query, you want to display some other text, for example, submit, OK, accept, next, register, anything whichever you want to display, we have to provide it by using value. Value is equal to whatever you wish, you can just specify, for example, register. Assume we are preparing a simple registration form. So we can create a registered button. So after entering the name, all these details, and click on registered button. So all these details, whatever we have entered, it should be submitted to server. But really, all these values are not being submitted to server. How do you say? In the question mark symbol here, it is not displaying the name, password, all these details what we have entered. It's not submitting anything. The reason why it is not submitting, every text box, in fact every input tag should be having a name. Text box, password text box, radio button, checkbox, file button, everything, all these fields must be having name. If you don't have a name, it will not be submitted. But in the radio button, we have given name, right? That's why only radio button value is being submitted. Payment mode is submitting and a notice. Except that others are not having name, that's why it will not be submitted. So the rule is that compulsory the form element field should be having a name, then only it will be submitted to server. Okay, in order to give the name, we have to give name attribute. Name equal to any name we can give. For example, This is some student registration form. Assume that's a student name. PWD. So for this name, no restrictions. Any names, whatever we can assume, we can just write. But remember, this name only will be submitted to server. For example, newsletters. And name will not accept any spaces. That's all. So now we can check. Now also we are entering some details like a name, Scott123, Scott123, credit card, some details I'm trying to enter, and click on registered button. Now we can notice this is the data what we have submitted. Now we can notice student name equal to Scott. Here student name is what? Name. Scott is a value which is entered by user. PWD is a name. Scott123 is a value. So names are entered by developer, values are entered by user. But the problem is a newsletter is equal to on it is submitting. Instead of on, I want to submit my own value. Even payment mode equal to on it is submitting by default. Instead of on, I want to submit my own value. That's why it is recommended to specify value attribute for checkbox and ready button. So we can just specify value equal to. So if the receive newsletters option is selected, what value you want to submit, we can specify here. For example, yes. So it will submit like a newsletter is equal to yes to the server. So on the server side, some Java program, for example, receiving the value. So it will receive like a newsletter is equal to yes, which is meaningful. And also for this debit card, credit card also, we can add a value equal to suppose debit card. Credit card. Space is not allowed here. Within the okay, name cannot have spaces, value can have space actually. So wallet. Okay, that's all. So for the checkbox and ready button, we have to compulsory specify the value. For others, value not required. Okay, now if you are entering some details, for example, Smith 123, Smith 123. Check the checkbox, receive newsletters, credit card, some details, click on submit. Now you can see these values are submitted. See, student name is a name, Smith is a value. Same way, password, confirm password. Now, no, page not refreshed. Okay, let's try again. Allen, I'm entering Allen. Okay, I just click on submit. Now we can notice, yeah, so newsletter is equal to yes, it is submitting, okay, and payment mode equal to debit card. Now it is quite meaningful. So which name will be submitted here? Suppose payment mode equal to any of these, whichever you select, any of these names, any of these wallets, any value will be submitted. Suppose net banking selected means payment mode will be equal to net banking. Only that will be submitted. Remaining will not be submitted. Okay, that's all. Next, so we have understood a type. A type attribute specifies what type of element you want to create. Name attribute specifies name of the element which you want to submit to server. And value attribute specifies what value you want to display or what value you want to submit. So that's all. Checked attribute will make the checkbox, the ready button by default checked.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, let's continue. Okay, so we have understood name attribute, and next term.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, next. So I just open this window by using inspect element. Right click inspect element option will open this window. Here I click on network. Okay, right click inspect element network. Here you can see any server calls, any kind of requests that you make to server. We can see all these things here in the network. So the moment once we have entered something, okay, for example, Srinath 123, some details we are trying to enter here. Click on register. Notice carefully, once we click on submit, okay, here it is not showing. Okay, fine. Okay, leave it. So here it is showing all the values in the address bar, right? So this will cause two problems. First, some sensitive information like suppose the passwords, confirm password, etc. is not safe to display. So that is one problem. And also if the too many number of values are submitted to server, the URL length also increases. Some browsers may not support the URL if it is exceed the limit of 255 characters. Okay, less than 255 no problem, but more than 255 characters in whole may not be supported by some old browsers. So these two are the main problems. So instead of adding the values, instead of displaying the values in the browser location bar, I want to submit the same in a secret format, in hidden format. In order to do that, what we have to do, method equal to post. Actually here get post, there are two options. So default is get. Actually get means what? It is displaying the values in the address bar like this. Post means will not display. So once we have submitted post and enter some details, click on register. Just a minute. See, I just click on register. Now notice it has submitted all these values really to server, but no values are displayed in the address bar. So this will solve the problems. In real time, for search forms, get is better. For registration form, login form, for storing, updating, etc., post is better. Only for search, get is better. For all the remaining cases, post is better. Anyway, you will understand more details about this get and post in the server-side development frameworks. Maybe if you go to advanced Java or ASP.NET or Node.js, then you will understand more details about get and post. But as of now, just the point I want to tell, get means the values are visible in the browser location bar, which generally we don't want. Post means the values are sent in hidden format to server. That's all. Next term. See, instead of a regular submit button, I want to display an image as a submit button. To display the image as a submit button, we have to use input type equal to image. Input type equal to image will display an image as a submit button. But we have to specify the image path. We have to specify image path here. So first we can download some image. For example, any symbol, any tick mark or save button, delete button, any meaningful image we can download. To download the image, there is a website iconfinder.com. Through this website, we can download the images. Any icon, small images we can download like this. For example, suppose you want to go for save. See, save icons are visible. So many icons, useful, right? So same like this. anything, suppose OK. OK symbols are visible. Like this, anything, any meaningful requirement, you can just search and get the icons easily. So for example, I want to display any one image. For example, I want to display this image in my web page. Right click on that image, save image as. Right click on the image, save image as. Now we are giving some file name, that is ok.png. First I'm getting the file into downloads location. So next we have to copy this particular ok.png, copy or cut the ok.png into current working location, that is C:/HTML. Understand now? So we have to copy the file. Now how do we display this image in the program? Just we have to specify src is equal to that file name ok.png. Now that image appear as a submit button here. If you click on this image button, the data will be submitted. See, if you click on this one, the data is submitting to server. You can see some values in the address bar, which means it is submitted. You can also notice some flash color here, that means which indicates it is submitting. Okay. So if you click on input type equal to image also, it will submit. And we can also specify width and height of the image by using width and height attributes. Just like how do we give width and height for the img tag, same way. Now it is a very small image as per the requirement. But sometimes you want to combine the image along with the text. Then you prefer to use as a button tag. Button tag let you to combine the image and the text. First some image, img equal to file name, followed by some text. So image and text can be combined by using button. Actually only image also you can place, only text also you can place, and image plus text, any combination we can use in case of button tag. The problem is input type equal to submit means only plain text. Input type equal to image means only image. But input just button tag means image or text or image plus text, both. So any combination we can use. That's why button tag is better than input type equal to submit. But for input type equal to reset, there is no alternative. Always we use the same. Next, after that, so if you click on submit or image or button tag also, the data will submit. Notice if you click on submit button, it is submitting. If you click on image also, it is submitting. If you click on button also, it is submitting. How do you know submitting or not? You can see flash color here, a little bit of animation which indicates it is submitting. So really we are not submitting any data to server and it's not storing. So we can do that if you go to Java or .NET or PHP or Node.js, then you will really do that. That means you will receive and store the data into database. Okay, fine. Next. Okay, notice carefully, sometimes you don't want to accept some value from the user but you want to submit to server. In such cases, we have to use input type equal hidden. I'll show an example. See, listen. Suppose we are making a call to Google. In order to see the server calls, we have to right click inspect element. In the inspect element, right click inspect element. Okay, notice carefully. Just we have a network. I'm looking for something like something, for example, HTML we have typed. Notice, observe carefully, the moment once we have typed HTML, you can see some server call is being created here. That means for every character we pressed, automatically it is making some request to Google server, and from there the list of suggestions are coming, this list. But the point is here, just if you click on the last one, notice carefully it has sent a get request. Okay, and also this one, client equal to PSYAB. Okay, for your visibility, I'm copying this. I'm copying this whole line into just some notepad. Now you can notice it has sent a request like this. But here client equal to PSVAB. So have you entered client equal to PSVAB in the actual web page? Have you typed PSY? No. But it has submitted automatically for some internal reasons. Same way HL equal to EL, EN-IN, GS underscore RN. So all these values we have not entered. Only we have entered is Q. Q means the text box. In the text box, whatever we have typed, that will be taken as Q equal HTML. But along with that, so many other values have been submitted to server. All these are called hidden fields. You can understand now? Some value you want to accept from the user, some value you don't want to accept from the user. To accept the value from the user, we use text box like input type equal to text. But if you don't want to accept the value from the user and you want to submit some fixed values to server, then we have to use input type equal hidden. Dynamically you want to calculate and submit, otherwise you want to submit some fixed values. Some value which is not coming from user but you want to submit to server is called as hidden field or hidden value. Example, this one, client. But what is the real use of this client HL? We don't know. Only the developers of Google. So only for the developer internal maintenance purpose only we use the input type equal hidden. Okay. Suppose you are making a website, what values you will submit, only you will be the person know. Okay. So other people cannot know this. So for example, I want to submit some X value to server. So what will you do? Input type equal to hidden, name equal to something X, value equal to 100. Here X is the name, value is 100. Now, once we have given name and all these details, click on register. Along with all the remaining details, now we can notice X equal to 100 also submitted. Now we can notice X equal to 100 is submitted. Notice. That's because of input type equal hidden. So what is the real purpose of this X? You only should know. Okay. So when you don't want to accept from the user, but you want to submit to server, then only X equal to some value we have to submit by using hidden input type equal hidden. So next, suppose in real time what happens, a login attempt, how many times the user has tried login, how many failures, what captcha is being submitted. This type of values you have to submit by using input type equal hidden. Okay, next, and after that, next, color. If you want to allow the user to select a color, we have to use input type equal color. So I want to allow the user to select a color. See here, color. So I can just click on the color box. I can choose any color, whatever you wish. So the selected color code will be displayed here. I mean, color will be displayed here. And if we click on this one, color code will be submitted to server. Now you can notice user color equal to something it is showing now. Now you can notice the color code will be submitted to server. So after submitting on the server side, we can store the data into a database. I mean, this color also can be stored into database. You can also retrieve this selected color and we can apply some background color, anything we can update by using JavaScript. Okay, when we go to JavaScript, I will let you know how to read the selected value of the color and how to apply the same as a background color of the form. Next, date. Suppose date about the date of joining, date of journey. In all these cases, input type equal to date is required, which is containing some built-in date picker to enter the date. Now we can notice some date. If you click on this one, you can see you can go to previous date, next date, any month we can choose, any date we can choose. If we click on into mark, the value will be clear again. That's all. Next term, time. Time. To accept the time value, we have to go for input type equal to time. So we can say time, I mean some hours, minutes, AM or PM, some time we can choose. Okay, next term. Suppose date and time both you want to accept. At a time you want to accept the date and time. Then we have to provide date time hyphen local. Date time hyphen local means date and time. See, it is not working in the Mozilla Firefox. So it is not safe to use date time hyphen local, but temporarily it is working on, currently it is working on Chrome browser. If you open the same page in Chrome, it is working. But still it's not safe to use in real time because in some browser like Firefox, it is not working. But the concept is date time. Means we can choose a date, we can also choose a time. Okay, this is the concept. At a time in the same box, you should be able to select date and time. Maybe after a few months, this Firefox browser may be updated. They may support the date and time. But as of now, it is not submitting. It's not safe to use in real time, whichever not supported. Okay, it is our developer responsibility. If some concept is not working in some browsers due to latest features missing in the browsers, okay, it's not safe to use. We have to try some alternatives. We can find alternatives by using jQuery or some other bootstrap, etc. But we have to make sure we have to test ourselves. Next, you want to allow the user to select a month at a time. To select a month, we have to go for input type equal to month. The user can select a month now, not a single date, just a month. Okay, again it is not working here. So let's try in the Chrome. So month, the concept is an entire month can be selected. For example, July month. Not a single date, an entire month can be selected. Next, same way week can be selected. Week. See, an entire week can be selected. For example, I am selecting week number 29 of the 2018 year. Like this, any week can be selected. Next, search. Generally, at the top of the form, you will be having, at the top of the website, you will be having search box, right? How to create the search box? We can do that by using input type equal to search. Remember, names are not fixed. Names can be anything. Names are nothing but user defined. Remember, only type are predefined. Okay, search means we can see it look like a regular text box only, but the difference is we can type something and after typing you can see into mark. If you click on into mark, the value will be clear. Okay, that is the advantage. Next, input type equal to number will let you enter the number. Suppose you want to accept a amount. To accept amount, Okay, to accept the amount, what is required is input type equal to number is required. Now you can notice, check it. Now you can see amount. So we can enter the numbers only. Okay, so we can enter the amount. We can enter only numbers. If you type alphabets only, and if you click on submit, see it is showing error, saying that alphabets not allowed. Pure number only accepted. If you type pure number, okay, then only it will submit. And but in Chrome, there is one more thing. In Chrome browser, okay, even alphabets will not be typed also. I'm typing alphabets here. I'm pressing keyboard, alphabets I'm typing, it's not typing. Only digits I can type. Okay, in Chrome, alphabets even not entered in the text box. But in Firefox, what happened? Alphabets we can type, but will shown as error message in the submit button time. Okay, there is some difference. Next, and we can also specify minimum and maximum value for the number. Suppose you want to specify some minimum 1000, maximum 10,000. So the value can be entered in between this particular range only. If I'm typing any large value larger than 10,000 and I click on submit button, it will show error message. Less than 1000 also will show error message. Okay, it will show error message. In between them we can choose. And moreover, if you click on this increment decrement buttons, how much incrementing at a time? Only one incrementing, one decrementing respectively, right? So if you're giving step equal to some value, for example 100, now onwards, now we can notice how much incrementing at a time. Now we can notice 100 incrementing each time, right? So for quickly selecting the number, this is better. So this is used for incrementing or decrementing time. This is the minimum value that you want to accept. This is the maximum value that you want to accept. User cannot enter beyond that. Next, suppose you take this volume. This volume is nothing but which is called slider. Means volume can be 0 to 100 and the user cannot enter beyond that. Okay, minimum 0, maximum 100, and it's a graphical representation. Graphically, you want to allow the user to select a volume. Just like that in real-time websites, suppose price range you want to choose. Okay, in the online shopping site, price range. You want to select, see the products between 1000 to 10,000 only. Okay, some range we can select. For that cases, a slider is useful. How to create a slider in program? By using input type equal to range, name equal to range. For this, minimum and maximum can be specified. Suppose minimum 0, maximum 100, current value, default value, suppose 10. So in between 0 to 100, we can choose any number. So this is 0, this is 100. Any middle number we can choose. Okay, like this we can choose any middle number. Next, if you want to accept email address of the user, to accept email address of the user, input type equal to email is better. Input type equal to email means, see, name doesn't matter, notice. Okay, input type equal to email means if you're typing wrong email address and click on submit button, it will show error message. If you click on any type of submit button, it will show error message. So if you enter correct email ID, for example, test@gmail.com, it will be accepted. Now the form will be submitted normally. That means it will check all the email rules. I mean, space not allowed, @ symbol should be there, ending with .com or .co. Something. So this type of all the email address rules will be verified. If any of them is, if the value is invalid, it will show error message. Next, input type equal to URL. Means you want to accept some website address. To accept a website address, input type equal to URL is required. URL to accept a email address, to accept a website URL, we have to provide like this. Now check it. If you enter some URL, for example, http www.google.com. Like this, if you enter a valid URL, it will submit. If you enter any other than that, it will not submit. That's all. And here you can see the first problem that you can notice here is that all the text boxes and everything is displayed in a zigzag order, right? There is no proper order for this, right? Okay. And you want to align them neatly. So what we'll do, you can create a table here, and inside the table you can create a number of rows like this. All the lines will be rows, and two columns you can take. First column will contain the text, second column will contain the text box. I mean, name will be in the first cell, text box will be in the second cell. You can convert that as a table. Even this solution also is not recommended in real time. As of our level of understanding in HTML, I am providing this solution of table. But in real time, alternatively, I mean, instead of table, we have to use a div tag. We have to use div. What is div tag and how to work with that, I will show later in CSS. Okay, so I'm not showing the div right now. In CSS, we have to do that. So as of our level of understanding right now, I can provide a solution like table, which is not much professional, which is not recommended in real time. Okay, let me show the table example right now. Okay, I'm showing the example of table, but not recommended in real time. So the thing is, first we have to take a table and with a row with at least two cells. First cell contains the text, I mean this one. Second cell contains the actual text box. And you want to enable the border, right? To enable the border equal to 1. Now you can see a table. Okay, there is a table, there is a row. First cell is name, second cell is text box. Okay, next and after that, email. This will contain the text box. Now we can notice email address. So I meant to say these two text boxes now aligned neatly, exactly. You can repeat the same process for all the fields what we have created. You can notice alignment is coming correctly. Okay, password, confirm password. Next, checkbox. Now no need of using any BR also, because TR means automatically next row will go to next line. Next, range. Okay, same, whatever we have created, everything we can convert like this. Okay, next, date and time. Okay, next, submit button. I'm going to say first cell empty here. See, first TD is empty, so that's why nothing is up here. In the second one only, we are placing the register button. Same like this. In the second cell, you want to place input type equal to image. Next, you are placing button tag also. You can place input type equal to hidden anywhere because it will not be displayed anywhere. Next, reset button. That's all. Now we have converted everything into table. Now, exactly, we have to remove the table by giving border equal to 0. What happens now? Now you can check. Now exactly the border is removed. Now it is look like this. Now you can notice exact alignment is achieved. Okay, this is one seems a bit simple solution, but not recommended in real time, not professional. We have to use the div tag for alternative.
This conference will now be recorded.
So we can enter the regular expression from this. Okay, we can enter like only 4 number allowed. For every requirement, we will be having a different format, right? That regular expression we can enter here. Okay, understand. Required means mandatory field. Placeholder means watermark text. Pattern means regular expression we can specify. Okay, next. Okay, so placeholder is watermark text. Autofocus is automatically placed in the cursor in the first text box. And required says that mandatory field, compulsory field to enter. Pattern means regular expression we can see. Next, min and max already told you. Min means minimum value, max means maximum value, useful for input type equal number and input type equal range. Step also I told like 100 incrementing right here. Each time 100 incrementing. That is step. Next, in case of input type equal to file, by default, how many images can be selected at a time? See, for example, I click on browse button. How many things I can select? Only one. I'm dragging here. I am unable to choose multiple files. In order to allow the user to choose multiple files, we have to give multiple equal to multiple. By giving multiple equal to multiple, we can allow the user to choose multiple files. See, I click on browse button. Now I can choose multiple files like this. By simply dragging, we can choose multiple files. Okay, all the files get selected and submitted to server. Okay, next, for example, we have something like suppose we have city, input type equal to text. Suppose you want to specify some default value in the city. In order to specify the default value in the city, we have to just use like value equal to something. Any default value we can specify value equal to something. City equal to Hyderabad we have mentioned. But the problem is somebody is trying to modify the value. He is trying to enter some different city. Suppose you don't want to allow the user to modify the value. You want to make it fixed. To make the value fixed, what we have to give? Read only equal to read only. Which means user cannot modify the value. See, by default Hyderabad, I'm trying to erase the value. Sorry. Read only, we got to read only. Okay, by giving read only equal to read only, which means it is mandatory. See, it cannot be modified. I'm trying to erase the value. See, I'm pressing backspace. Is it modifiable? No. We cannot modify the value. Okay, it is read only equal to read only. There is one more option for the same, that is disabled equal to disabled also we can specify. Alternatively, disabled equal disabled. Disabled equal disabled means, see, I cannot select the text also. In the read only, I can select the text, I can copy, but in the disabled, I cannot select the text. That is the difference between read only and disabled. And max length attribute specifies maximum number of characters that you want to accept. For example, max length is 30. So that means maximum up to 30 characters only you're accepting. See, I'm typing more than 30. I'm typing here, it's not placing because we have mentioned 30. By default, there is no limit, but you can specify the limit by using max length. Next, tab sequence. I mean, when you press the tab key, to which text box it has to jump to the next text box, right? So we can define the tabs in tab sequence by using tab index. So we can specify a serial number 1, 2, 3 like this. So in this serial number only, in this order only, it will follow the tab. I mean, when the user presses the tab key, it will just follow the next number in the tab sequence. So if you have too many number of text boxes, in what order the tab has to go to, that sequence we can decide by using tab index. Not only 1, 2, 3, 4, you can give any sequence, maybe 10, 20, 30, 100, 200, 300, any sequence we can provide. For input tag only, tab index is required. For others, tab index not required. Even for buttons also, we can go tab index. Now, what is advantage of this? Just when you press the tab key, see it is going correctly. When you go to tab key, it is going to exactly next text box. Like this. This is the benefit of using tab index. That's all. So still in this, we have to use some more HTML tags like a label tag, field set, legend, this type of tags. So with a few more examples, the form example will be completed. And then we'll go to remaining topics of HTML. Okay, that's all for today.